So, good morning. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, mom. How y'all doing? Everybody good?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good, good. So, we're going to jump right into it. And last week, when we left off, I feel like it was me and Jess, maybe, who were really in that conversation at the end. But we were talking about how we feel that some people don't fully invest into gaining more money because they don't believe that it'll happen for them, and also they don't have the actual money to invest. So we thought it would be good to spend some time today to talk about some strategies that we use and some strategies we learned but may not have used at all different levels of risk, all different ways of attacking the same goal, so that we can get more money to invest and also help others generate some income for them to invest. So before we dive into it, I wanted to review the law of compensation. All right, so the law of compensation. The law of compensation states that the money you earn will be in direct proportion to the three following things. And of course, proportion means for every amount of this, you get every amount of that. Every amount of this, every amount of that. Every 1 year, 365 days. Every 1 week, 7 days. All right, proportion. So the need for what do you do? The need for what you do. The need for what you do. So is what you're good at something that a billion people are good at? Is what you're good at something that only you are good at? That comes with the adding value part. If you don't do anything special, if you don't do anything that makes people go find you, it's going to be very, very hard to generate additional income, to generate a lot of income, period, right? So there must be a need for what you do. Number two, how good are you? How good are you? How good are you? Like, I'm a teacher, right? There's Lord knows how many teachers, millions, if not billions. All right. But I'm good at it. I've never sought it out, but I've been nominated for National Teacher of the Year twice. All right. So it doesn't have to be a super unique thing. You just have to be super good at it. Right. So find something to do that has a high need. And it doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be super unique. You just have to do it well. Right? Like there's millions of football players. The KG did it well enough to make it to the best league there is. Right? There's millions of businessmen, right? Corporate America. The G has done it good enough to get to where he is. Right? So number three, there has to be a difficulty in replacing you. Right? Most jobs, including the jobs that 9 out of 10 of us have, if we just stop showing up, within a week or two, they're gonna have somebody in there that can do that job just as good as we did, right? But the more you improve your skills, there's a bigger need for you, right? And you become more valuable. And the more valuable you are, the tougher you are going to be to replace. That's when you really get paid. So there has to be a high need for what you do. You have to be very good at it, and you have to get so good at it that if you're the missing piece from that puzzle, the puzzle basically falls apart. All right. So that's the law of compensation. There's a need for what you do, you're great at it, and you're difficult to replace. Right? So let's break that down. So the need is already there, right? The needs are already there. Right? So you don't have to do anything about that. And number three, the difficulty part is going to be taken care of if you do number two, improve your ability. No matter what it is, if you get so good at it, it's going to be the need that's already there, and you're going to be difficult to be replaced. So the primary focus always needs to be number two, your ability to do it. From paving roads to building computers, all right? The demand is going to be there. And it could be something new. If you get so good at it, you'll create the need. You know, everything is moved by the media. Everything is moved by marketing. You get very, very good at what you do, you'll create the need. So as we communicate with each other today, and as we communicate with whoever's watching, let's always remember that the focus to generating more income is by improving your ability. Whatever it is, always work on getting better at it. Always work on getting better at it. Always work on getting better at it. You know, people that do this. I look at Joe Rogan, just signed a, I don't know, maybe it was multiple hundreds. I can't remember, but 100 million plus contract to sit down and talk with his friends. You know, so doesn't matter what you do. You just have to have the high ability to do so. And something that has resonated with me, a lot of, maybe not a lot, but at least people that I look up to, that I respect, a lot of them started off as teachers. And I just found that out through time. Like Tom Bilyeu, who's the founder of, they got the Nutri-Grain bar, not the Nutri-Grain bar, it's the protein bar. Quest, the founder of Quest, multi-billionaire. He was a teacher, a regular school teacher. Eric Thomas, who's now a millionaire, he was a substitute teacher, then a teacher. Um, Teachers and preachers like E.T. preacher, Inky Johnson preacher, Jim Brown's father was a preacher, John Maxwell was a preacher, and preachers are teachers, right? So teaching is known as a low income profession, but that's proof to me as a teacher who doesn't really like school, but I like to just teach and see people let that light go off. That it proves that if you get good enough, you can make billions of dollars. And I'm gonna start letting y'all jump in. And it's also important that you shift your mindset that making billions of dollars is not a bad thing. Like money only highlights the person that you already are. If you're somebody who would give your last dollar away when you're poor, you're going to serve millions and billions of people when you make millions and billions. If you're a selfish person when you're poor, you're going to be selfish when you have millions and billions. If you're an out of control person when you're poor, you're going to be even more out of control when you have millions and billions. So don't think that only snobby people want to make money, or only selfish people want to have money. It's just a tool, right? It's just a tool. So I don't really have no guided questions, but I think that was enough to get us started. So Jess, I know it was me and you last time, so I'm gonna let you jump in, and everybody else feed in your thoughts.
Yeah, so I just not to wrap anybody up too long, but just the only thing that I have to add is maybe something that I heard from a Warren Buffett interview, and he was talking about how millennials and young people are coming into the marketplace, and some of them may be getting a little bit frustrated that they may not be getting the amount of money or the pay scale that they envision coming out of college. But one of the biggest ways to increase their value by 50% or more is just to improve your communication skills, both verbal and written, right? And if we kind of take a step back and look how important that is, obviously, businesses across the world at this point are having to learn how to communicate differently, and they are having to learn how to communicate effectively, even given all of the barriers, right? So if you're someone that finds yourself to be a strong writer, right, you can immediately find yourself to be somebody who has value to an organization during this time frame, because maybe individuals from past generations or people who have been, in these major companies or any kind of platform, even if it's a startup, they may not have that strong of a skill set. And you immediately find yourself now having much value to their marketplace or even the industry. And you have a potential to create, norms or best practices that others may not be able to know just by simply you focusing on that one skill set.
Word. I agree. I was watching I think I sent it to y'all, a ET video yesterday, and he said that rich people don't work, they think.
Right.
And he said even as a teacher, he couldn't care less about a degree, he couldn't care less about a suit, but he spent the time going through the formal education because he needed to learn the language, right? So that goes right into what you just said, Jess, about your communication skills. And that's kind of part of being a leader. Like everybody is a leader. And the greatest leaders of other people started off by leading themselves, right? So leaders are very, very good communicators. Like just amongst us, we all got connections to each other. But speaking for myself, like it's a different way I'm gonna talk to Just in the heat of the moment than I'm gonna talk to G or KP, right? I'm gonna say the same message, say all three of y'all fumble. You feel me? Just I'll let you have it. You figure it out. You feel me? That may not be right for me and KP. We may be fighting back and forth. I may need to go time out and be like XYZ, however me and KP need to talk. And G might be in the middle. I might can cuss him out, but still need to talk to him to reassure him. You feel me? And however y'all communicate with me. And like different businesses. And I think G may be the best person. No, he is the best person to speak on this, having worked in multiple countries. How has that served you with your professional career, having to communicate with yo from Germany and somebody from Texas at the same time? So how did the communication skills help you?
I think you hit it right on the head when you said you have to have your message has to be consistent, but it's how you present it. And when I lived in Germany, they are a lot more direct than we could ever think to be as Americans. So maybe not us in this group, but in general, they are very direct. It's not a lot of, what is it, the sandwich technique where you say something nice, then you say what you mean, and then you say something nice at the end. It's straight direct, very quick. Whereas here, you got to soften it up a little bit. So I think the important part is really understanding your audience, knowing what you want to say, but saying it in a way that they can interpret it. Because sometimes if you say it in the wrong way, they miss the point. They hear all the noise and they don't get the message. So the more you experience different cultures and different places, you start to understand how to adjust your message so they can decipher it and take it in.
Right. That's important too. I'm reading a book now called Shoe Dog, which is, I guess, an autobiography of Phil Knight. And G just said, get experience with different cultures. It's 2021, bro. Like, you don't have to go there to get that experience, right? So I'm reading about how he started his company by making connections through the Tiger Shoe Company in Japan. And they, listening to what G just said, they're the total opposite of Germany. Like you walk out the negotiation not knowing if you just signed $1 billion deal or if they despise you. Like you'll have no clue. It's a lot of like gray area until it's not. He spends a lot of time talking about that. And just interesting note, when Phil Knight first he had this idea to sell sneakers, obviously, because he ran track at Oregon. But when he was a young adult, he took some time to travel the world. He wanted to go to Japan to visit this factory, but he wanted to travel to different places. And three of the places that he went on that trip was Jordan, Kobe, which is in Japan, and the Temple of Nike. Ain't that crazy? He went on a road trip when he first started Nike, and three of the locations that he intentionally picked out was Jordan, Kobe, and the Temple of Nike. And at the Temple of Nike is some Greek god, a warrior. It's like a statue or something. A warrior giving a Greek god a gift, and the gift is some shoes or some sandals at the Temple of Nike. All right.
For me, that sorry to cut you off, but for me, while that sounds amazing, it's only further confirmation that when you're aligned to do what you are supposed to do, you will get confirmation along your journey, right? And I think all of us have experienced that in our own journeys thus far, even on getting to this point of this platform. But I wanted to point that out because I think for many times in life, sometimes if you don't have a strong faith, you will chalk things up to coincidence rather than confirmation, right? And it can go both ways, positive or negative.
Yeah.
And just to take that one step further, just I think another part of it is you getting the confirmation, but then the next step is to take action. And I think that's where a lot of people fail too. They feel what they want to do or what they need to do. They know how to do it maybe, but maybe they're too scared to even take that action to put it into motion.
Yeah. Yep. And I didn't think we was gonna get here this soon, but we got to be more targeted since we on a timeline. Exactly back into why we have this program. Like with G and just said, what you think and believe matters, because what you think leads to what you choose. That leads to your behavior. That leads to your experience and the kind of emotional times you have. So I think that, and this is just an example to follow up on the thought process. So I think that I'm a billionaire in the making. So I am going to choose, what up, Ray? I am going to choose to study billionaires and just mimic what they do. I'm going to be the Kobe to the Jordan. Thought choice. So my behavior is different, right? I'm saving everything. I'm not paying for nothing. And I think this is a necessary step, at least from who I studied and knowing some of y'all. I'm driving my girl crazy. You feel me? Not from disrespect and not from nothing wrong, but like you get in this tunnel. Like I can't spend $1. I gotta do this, right? Your behavior. Then you start to have different experiences. Yo, it's this option that came in. We did all this research. It's more or less, according to our research, guaranteed to go up, but it costs $9,700. Now you can act on it. You didn't know why. You just were saving, saving, saving. Boom, Corona. You learned about the stock market. Now you can act. So now you feel very, very differently because of what you thought. There's two different sides of those affected by this pandemic right now. The rich, which is not just a super small group of white people. It is not, right? They are cooking right now. They are killing, right? The poor, which is not just a super big group of black people. It is not. They are suffering right now. Those that were born with a silver spoon and those that were born with nothing. Both of those are on both sides, right? But a lot of people were thinking differently, making different choices, had different behaviors, which leads up to their experience. That has everything to do with financial literacy and making money. I couldn't tell you the dude's name, but Tony Robbins always talks about this UPS dude. This dude worked for UPS for like 60 years at like minimum wage. And when he died, he had all these millions of dollars that he gave to his family that nobody knew about. They just thought he was some grumpy old man who ain't want to do nothing, right? Which might have been true, but his purpose was different, right? So you don't have to have all of this money. It's all about the process that you do, right? And then on the other side, what you believe in leads to what you anticipate, right? Two people can believe that the market is going to crash, right? The housing market, hypothetically. So the person in poverty mindset, not necessarily dollars wise, I do not want this to happen because everyone's going to lose their home. Or the person with a wealth mindset, if these home values drop, I can buy them, right? And I don't have to kick the person out. I just want to take over the mortgage. You can pay the rent. I'll even reduce it for you, right? You don't have to be evil if you do purchase the home, right? But believe, anticipate, and then you start to become intentional depending on what you believe in, right? You got 10 G's in your account. It's not that much, so you believe you got to save it all. Two people. But one person is willing to invest 5 G's to learn how to make more. The other person doesn't do it because they got the bread, but they don't believe that if they take that course, that it will pay them back that 5 G's plus more, right? In their amount of time that they have in their head, right? And then after you're intentional, you start to have a focus. You start to see different things. You start to pay attention to things that you never saw before. It's like in the analogy of an athlete, the game slows down. Rookie year, everybody's fast because everybody was All-American. Even the practice squad dudes was All-Americans. Everybody's bigger. And if they're smaller, they're the fastest person you ever seen, right? Or pound for pound, the strongest person you ever played against, right? There's something special about them, right? So what you believe, what you anticipate, what you're intentional about, what you focus on, that's going to lead to the opportunities, right? All about what's in your mind. Going back to the athletes, Tyreek Hill, he like my size plus another 40 pounds, but he's a super small dude, right? His speed is not the only thing that makes him special. You feel me? His belief system is unique. Number one, he's small. We all wired a little bit differently than these big dudes who got more muscle than heart. You know, KG, I'm coming for you. But there's something that he believes that makes him great. So getting back to the topic, the number one thing that's going to have to change for you to get more income is you're going to have to alter your belief system and change how you think. Alter your belief system, especially if you come from poverty. You're going to start to do things differently than everybody else. You know, like you've always went to Thanksgiving, you've always took that drive, but now your commitment is $200 a month to whatever account. You don't got that 50 for gas, you might not make that Thanksgiving, right? Or y'all go out to eat every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It might have to turn into Saturday and Sunday, right? And eventually you'll start to see the results. It might go away, right? And last thing before I let y'all jump back in, because I don't want to take over, is that be willing to rock the boat. Be willing to rock the boat. Especially if you're going to be the first. Like there's a reason that when you get on the plane, it's only two dudes up front, or two people up front, right? Like we all can go in the pilot's joint and we can fly, but we probably ain't gonna make it because we not seeing what they see. We're not making the moves that they make because we don't know. And just from seeing us shine in our various ways, and as I said, studying people who've done what I'm shooting to do, they've always rocked the boat. I refer to it as a GPS. All right. If you got your own special destination that's further than everybody else and you're actually willing to travel to, go do it. Right? Be respectful, all that kind of stuff, go do it. Because it's going to be totally, totally different than what everybody else is seeing. And I've seen people like get on the path, but then somebody else will make them fall off. And not even with malicious intent, just because their mindset is different. They're not committed to going to where you're committed to going to. So as you change your thoughts, you change your beliefs, go make it happen. They always think people are crazy until they do something crazy, right? So I'm gonna be quiet for the next 10 minutes and let y'all rap about it.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, essentially what you're trying to, essentially what I picked up from that, Malcolm, is your perspective drives your performance. So the way you believe in yourself, just like you said, your belief system, that's all going to contribute to the amount of time, effort, and anything that you're trying to do or accomplish or shooting to do. If you feel like you're adequate at something, you're going to perform in that way because you have that confidence, right? But if you do not believe that you are good enough to make bread or good enough to be whatever it is that you're trying to be, you're always going to go at it with an angle of not giving your full 100, because in your mind you can't justify that you're on a level that you can perform like this anyway. So and subconsciously you're not going to give your best because you don't believe you're capable of giving your best. So a lot of people don't understand that part of it. Your perspective, your belief within yourself is probably some of the most important things, or one of the most important things that you can do, because it really drives you. For example, let's go back to sports. if someone gets fouled at the end of the game, and in their head they're like, "Oh my God, I'm going to the free throw line. Oh my God, I'm going to the free throw line." They're going to come at it nervous. So to be honest, you're more likely to short arm or T-Rex arm that free throw because you're like, "Oh my God, I'm struggling on free throws. I really can't shoot. I only shoot 65%." Your performance is going to be affected by that versus someone who, you know, they know they're a knockdown shooter. They have no problem shooting free throws. They get fouled. They're like, "Yo, I'm about to win this game for us because I know we can do that." So that's just what I wanted to add in. Like I said, perspective drive performance. The more you believe in yourself, the more that you believe in what it is you're trying to accomplish, the better it's going to affect you in a way where you're trying to reach what you're trying to do.
Go ahead, Josh.
Pizzle, do you want to jump on first?
Nah, you can go ahead. I mean, that's got a quick little thing. I'll say it after you though. You go ahead.
All right. So one thing that stuck out to me that you said, Malcolm, was that if you are the first in your family, you have to be willing to rock the boat. And I think for all individuals, anybody who plays any position in their family, they can identify with that part because every individual has their own aim or goal or destination in their life that they're headed into that may be different from their family for a number of different reasons. And it may be because there's an opportunity that is available now that past generations didn't have, quite honestly. Right? It could be something very, very small or something large. But one thing that I do know, if you are the first one, two things need to happen, right? In order for you to really, in order for it to really be worth rocking the boat, because you take a very, very big risk rocking the boat against your family because your family, in the ideal sense, is supposed to be the individuals that you have a lifetime relationship with. And if you are going to risk a lifetime relationship, you better be very, very sure that what you're going after is going to pan out. Because that's a fear most people, are not willing to accept the realities of if it doesn't work out. So the first one is that you have to be willing to go alone. This has been my life experience. When you are the first person in your family that's treading a new path or a new journey, you have to understand that individuals in your family or that you're connected to may or may not even understand why you are venturing out on this journey. They may not understand your needs, your intrinsic desires, right? What makes you tick, right? And you have to understand that there may be something different about you, and will give you that further confirmation that despite the reactions of the people that love me or closest to me are opposite of what I'm willing to do, there has to be that self-belief or that faith in a higher being to go alone and still be satisfied. Number two, and this is something that I would love to share with everyone who is either transitioning from high school to the real world or from college to the real world. This is something that gave me the biggest head start in the world. And that was continue to live like I was poor, like I was a poor college student for the first several years of me having employment after grad school, right? I kept my entire framework of my life the same because I had proven to myself over the last 4 or 5 years that I could live and have all of my needs met without putting any pressure on my family while I was in college with a certain threshold of income, right? I was able to know what I could pay for gas, where I could go, what my groceries would look like, how much I could afford for rent because I had 4 of my own apartments over my college career. I had learned how to be an independent individual despite being in college. And when I did get a chance to have employment, the only thing that I viewed employment as was additional class and coursework, which was the job, and the income that came with it just happened to be so much more substantial than what I had learned to live on in college. So everything that was above what I had learned to live on in college, outside of a miscellaneous budget for, okay, now I have to travel home more. Now I may or may not have to, support people that, may be in a little bit more needy situation now that I'm able to help, or a series of other things. There's a small budget for that. But the 90 to 85% of the money that is additional that I didn't get in college, that went over to the side. It never existed for the first several years. Now I created a gap, right? Because I've been disciplined and was able to say no, and Malcolm can attest to this, as guys, and Ray and everybody in the house can attest to this, man. I would have money in my account and turn down something as simple as like, no, I'm not going on the spring break trip with y'all this year, right? I got it. It just ain't for that. And it's a tough decision to make, because when you get to the point where you get employment or now you're on your feet, you do want to reward yourself. But I was so committed to creating the gap because I watched people close to me in life run things so close together their entire life. So when anything in life came up as an obstacle or a challenge, it always created so much more of a issue than that one individual challenge had to create. It created a domino effect because there was no space, right? So for me, my advice is create the gap. And one way you do it is, living like you did in college. Be mindful when you get out of school. What is your car payment? Because 9 out of 10 times as a college student, you don't have a car payment. So why do you need one in your first several years coming out of school? That's going to be the years that you create your foundation, right? Don't live above your means, even though you have additional income. Keep the same lifestyle as close as you can. Be mindful of eating out, right? Maybe you didn't develop the skill of eating on campus before because you had a meal plan, but guess what? There's no more swiping in that calf anymore. That's the debit card, right? Now you might have to, if you didn't over the last several years, learn how to cook up oodles and noodles, learn how to stretch spaghetti, learn how to, shop in different supermarkets to keep your lifestyle simple and below the radar, then maybe that's the time to learn that, right? Be mindful with your clothes. And this is sorry for me, and I don't say sorry because I feel like this is not directed towards anybody here, but so very important for people that are looking to break out of whatever norm. Please be mindful of having a child early in the journey. People don't understand the financial and emotional lifetime commitment you are making. And it's just so unrealistic to be able to meet those expectations so early in your journey without it creating such a huge setback, right? Our generation was not raised to be full-fledged adults in our 20s. That's the reality of it. That's the reason why so many of us bend and fold with lifetime issues that come up when we get out of college. We weren't built like our parents. We were built to have multiple opportunities and people to work with us and people to be more forgiving, whereas the world wasn't so forgiving before. They had to learn to get it right and get it together. So that's why jokers had 4 or 5 kids by the time he was 23, 24 years old. It wasn't no ruffling of the feathers. They was built different. We not built like that. And it's okay, right? So if you understand and take a step back, away from the emotional side, yes, your child will love you. Yeah, they will probably love you unconditionally until a certain age, until they see you for the individual that you are. Because all of us have gotten to that place, at whatever age we began to see mom as her name and who she is as an individual, uncle as who he is, and things of that sort. But having a child while you are already struggling is so unfair to that individual because you drag that child through the mud along with you. You are trying to get out of the mud yourself, right? And I'm sorry if it comes from such a passionate place, but family is huge to me. And I personally have had to make that, me and my wife have had to make that constant decision to say no over the last several years because we genuinely believe that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And to keep it G with you, one of the reasons that so many of us that look like us struggle is because nobody left us nothing. Nobody left us nothing. You know how much more life would, you know how much more easy our journey would be if a joker left us a cushion. Like just a cushion enough to be able to make a mistake this time or the next time and it not cost us everything, or it not really, make a huge disruption to our household, which then interrupts our relationships or our own mental health or physical health, right? All of these things become a domino effect because we don't create space. So when these dominoes in life drop, it shouldn't have to affect everything else, but you got to create space. And just to recap,
Hey,
you create space. Go ahead.
I'm gonna cut you off because I think you said something powerful, right? What you just said is that we're operating at a deficit.
Already.
We start off at a deficit, right? But by you, each of us as men and whatever women that are watching, by you creating the gap, what you're truly doing is closing the gap.
Yeah.
Right? You can't go at average speed because you have to recover. And so many of us, from on the screen to not, we get stuck on the fact that it's unfair that there's a deficit. You gotta get past that. You gotta get past that. It's game 7. This is the only game we got. One super long, God willing, 90, 100-year game. This is the only game we got, and we down by 20. Right? Now you can have the RG3 approach, where I lost because my receivers dropped the ball and my linemen didn't block and my running backs fumbled. Or you can have the Tom Brady down to the Falcons 28-3. As soon as my man go on the bench and put his head down, it's over. He just did it 2 weeks ago, right? It don't matter. You're going to have to win, right? It's not fair. Cool. It ain't been fair for us like ever, So we're telling you that it may get any more fair, right? In whatever capacity, race, ethnicity, culture, religion, location, gender, sexuality, history, age, none of it matters. That's the team you drafted. That's the team that God, the universe, whatever you believe in, gave to you. Right. And I know Pizzle, I know you're ready. But 2 things just to reframe it from Just, because he was, that's something he cared about, right? And just for a one-to-one moment, that's why we need you here. Right. That's a big part of the juice that you bring to the table. I think you highlight something important. Rocking the boat is only cool if the water doesn't get inside the boat. Once it starts to get inside, you start to sink. So make sure you are in a strong enough relationship where y'all can handle your inner turmoils together, and make sure that the expectations are clear so you can continue to keep that passion, fulfill your duties and responsibilities, right? So if you can't have that kind of relationship, that's not the man or the woman or the non-identifier that you need by your side, right? As you can see, many of these long-term ones, at least, it's usually she, like, yo, she stayed with me through it. She stayed with me through it, right? The water never got inside the boat because some boats are built differently. Don't try to rock the boat in a little sailboat relationship. Don't try to rock the boat in no Titanic relationship. It looked good on social media, but it's weak, right? Only rock the boat if you got the boat built together. I think that's important to highlight. And then lastly, the part that Just didn't mention, and it makes sense, Just has always had that thought and belief system. Like, he's wanted to be a grown man since I known him at 12. And his college experience was very, very different than the norm because of all of the things we did prior to going to college. Going to Saturday school since 7th grade, going to summer school since 7th grade, going to school on Saturdays throughout high school, getting educated by some of the best educators in the world, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars just to go to high school. So you went into college with a very, very unique experience. So it's important to educate yourself so you can even start to have those kinds of experiences that Just was talking to. So I just wanted to add that in. I took notes as he talked. And that's another thing too. Just obviously took notes as we was talking. Right? So in that thought and belief system, you like opportunities. He started to pick, I can talk about that. That resonated with me. That's how I can help some people. So I do it all the time, whether it's the radio, here, YouTube. Always take notes because you never know how you can use it. Because that needs to be a part of your diet, which you feed your mind and your body. Because what you feed your mind and your body, believe it or not, affects your thoughts and beliefs. You know? But go ahead, Pizzle. I know you're waiting.
Can I add one last thing? The only reason for me sharing that approach was because the question that was prompted was, how do I create, or how do I have money set aside to be able to trade with? And the short version is saying no to a lot of what society tells you to say yes to, and learning how to develop that skill of saying no early in your journey when you first come into money, which is usually our first employment or our first job.
Now, just that's true, and I know I keep saying let Pizzle go, but something I learned like from mentorship and once again studying, but more or less the people I've actually been able to interact with that are very wealthy in all different form or fashions, they don't explain. Like you take it the wrong way, you took it the wrong way. Like you ain't ready. And the way that they help is they tell you what to do, but they're not going to help you do what they tell you to do.
Oh yeah.
And it's not that they don't want to, like they literally don't have the time. That's why you have to add tremendous value to get that time for free. And it's really not free because you're adding that value. Or you got to pay for their services. All right. So I just wanted to highlight that too. Like if you committed to getting bread at this level, you got to be able to receive that information. So be comfortable with it coming out how it come out, because this is what you know, this is what you've done, this is what we've all seen you do. So if somebody want to be a puppy dog pal instead of a dog, they can go cry in the corner. You feel me? Go ahead, Pizzle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to really touch too much on it. I know Just basically hit a lot of the things. Maybe I should have went first, Just, but definitely talking a lot of different things. And I know one thing is that, you know, creating that gap, being able to realize, like, you know, where you are in the beginning, and then as you go up, creating that gap in between. One thing my mom always says is let a promotion be a promotion. Let more money be more money. When you get the opportunity to get more, let that be more instead of you raising up that floor to match that ceiling. And I think a great example of that, it's almost like a sickness, right? Like you have to really change your foundation in the way you think and the way you look at things. And I'm down here in Florida right now. I went to a gas station yesterday. It's a great example. I went to a gas station yesterday. A guy walks in, he turns in his lottery ticket. Number one, that's a big no. Like, why are you even playing the lottery? Whatever. All right. So he comes in, he cashes it in. And the cashier says, oh, congratulations. You won $60. He said, oh, man, really? So, yeah, you won $60. You want to cash it out? Nah, let me get two packs of the 100s. Let me get number 4 lottery, number 5, number 6, and number 7. To the point where the guy actually had to pay $1.50 more, where his total came out to $61.50. And he just completely spent all the money that he completely won. And you look at it and you're like, yo, what, you know, just when it comes to small things like that, then you wonder, you know, how is he living? How is he doing with his cars? How is he doing with his home? How is he doing with just general money? And you really realize, like, it's almost like a sickness where you really have to change your foundation and the way you look at things and really have that delayed gratification to be able to be successful now or later on, instead of just being so satisfied now. I know that's something I'm definitely working on with the delayed gratification. I'm getting better at it, but it becomes more prevalent in my life as I continue to go on and see different examples. And then, you know, you rub shoulders with people who are very successful and they say the same thing. You know, it's all about delayed gratification. So I'll leave you with that. I'm not going to go too much farther into it.
Real quick. So that mindset is probably representative of, I'm not going to say most, it's not about majority or not, but many Americans, because we don't have enough financial literacy education to understand what opportunity we're given, even at a $60 mark. And that exemplar, I think, is the reason why the government does not have a problem cutting a check for $930 billion, because we understand that between 600 and 1,200 of this money is going to funnel right back into our economy. In fact, what we're doing is we're actually creating the tidal wave so that we can then benefit from the ripples, right? We already know we didn't give them the education that they need to see this as a, dang, here goes 600 or 1,200 to start my trading account. Damn. Or maybe here goes, instead of buying my kid the iPhone, let's get some Apple stock. with 1,200, or let me get an option, right? Or let me give myself an opportunity, even if I wind up losing it, right? Because I lost it every time that I consumed. It was a short high, whatever the clothes, whatever the food, whatever the experience was. I got a couple photos from it. It was a short high. But is there an opportunity for me to give me some upside? And that's just a different mindset.
Yeah.
And you hit it on the point when you said, I'm sorry, Matt, when you said, to me, the stimulus is nothing but an investment. It's the rich just investing to get more money out because the money's all going to come back anyway. So it's very interesting that you touched on that too.
It's just like what you said, Pizzle, about the guy spending more money at the 7-Eleven.
You on mute, right?
Yeah, I just took it off. When you, I'm still on mute.
Nah, I hear you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's just like what you said at 7-Eleven, KP. You give people a certain amount of money, they're going to take that money, put it with some other money, and spend more. It's just the decision on how you're going to spend that money. So, like if you take Jess's point and you take that money, with a little bit of extra money and you put it in an investment so it comes back, you know what I'm saying? Then you got money to play with. But if you take that money and you're just a straight consumer, you know what I'm saying? You obviously, if you got 1,200 and that TV costs 2,000, what you gonna do? You're gonna take that 1,200, you're gonna take that 800 out of your account, and you're gonna spend. So that money is coming right back to them. You know what I'm saying? They want you to spend that money. So it just, if you're gonna spend it wisely.
Especially when it's so liquid and it's cash at that. So yeah.
Yeah. And Pizzle, what you described, that's a sale, bro. That's all it is. It's a sale. Because like if I go in to Walmart to buy some paper and nobody in the world has it, but they got PS5s for 500. Dang, that's a good deal, right? So got the PS5. That's 500. That wasn't on my plan to spend, right? They enticed me, right? Because they know people not looking forward. Oh, it was only 500 of what I already had, So I got it for the love, but that wasn't part of the plan. So they do that with sales all the time. They lower the prices to entice people to buy, right? And I'm gonna go there. You can Google it if you want. Jump in the comments. Primarily women, primarily Black women, right? We see all the memes now about what Amazon is doing to me, right? The sales, but that comes from also Game 7, understanding yourself, right? Like just said, the high, that's a dopamine hit. When you buy something, you get a rush of a chemical in your brain called dopamine, right? And you're constantly chasing that rush as opposed to the delayed gratification, that rush times 18 billion when you get to buy your mama house, right? Because you kept that $60, right? Whether to invest in the market or to save to invest in yourself by something as simple as getting healthy, or something as simple as becoming more intelligent, or something as simple as going to therapy, right? Saving in whatever fashion to invest in yourself. A habit, right? Trigger, behavior, reward. Trigger, I came into this money. My behavior was I immediately spent it on something. My reward was I got that thing. I got that rush of dopamine, right? And so you got to change your habits, which if you go hard, it takes about 100 to 120 days of consecutive intentional behavior to rewire those circuits in your brain to take a poor habit, eliminate it, and replace it. Hence the 90-day commitment that don't nobody want no smoke with, right? There's a method behind it, right? So you have to be willing to, like we said, learn. You got to be consciously entertained with the idea. You always got to hold the thought in front of you. You have to pay attention to it on purpose. You got to be emotionally involved. It has to bother you to lose money. It shouldn't bother you to invest money, right? Like we say, count the value, pay the cost, right? But just to lose it without investing it, like not for food, like you got to eat, like be a person, right? But anything beyond that, it has to hurt you to lose it. It must mean something to you, right? And then you have to go act. You have to go do it. You have to go do it. right? You have to go do it and keep doing it over the long run. Like just speaking for some of us, like for us to get to this point, it's taking years. It's taking years. Like we had to hit not necessarily the apex, but we had to hit the high points in our careers to see that it wasn't what what we thought it would be, in order to see that something has to change. Like we always talk like college, 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 college. I got 2 degrees, just got 3. Like all these, everybody on here, 1, 2, 3, 99% of us got a degree. All of us been to college, right? Don't mean nothing. A lot of these millionaires and billionaires don't got no degree. You feel me? So we could have took that 100,000 and did something else with it. So I just wanted to focus on the dope hit was a big thing, and then how understanding yourself and your body, how that matters into making more money. You got to change your habits. We all just felt a big trigger on December 25th. I ain't gonna go there. Trigger, behavior, reward. Right? Felt good on the 25th. Checked your account on the 27th. You was blown. I think I ain't stay committed. I got next year, right? We can talk about that some other day, right? But by being cognizant of that, only way to make more money is by adding more value. And if the value you're adding is not giving you the income you want, you got to change your habits to get different rewards, right? And when you get your reward, don't be selfish with it. Don't be selfish. When your cup is full, pour it out. Because then you'll get something in their cup, and guess what they'll do? They'll go tell somebody else, and tell somebody else, and tell somebody else, and tell somebody else. It's like that fountain where the water keeps coming down, right? And then you start to become valuable in their lives, and then extremely difficult to replace, right? And the bread starts to come your way. Something that me and G talk about a lot is like, yo, we seeing people making all this money, and all they're doing is being who they are. Like they trading, really doing the power hours, 9:30 to 10:30, 2 to 3. They got their phone on speaker, and they just talking to the phone as they trade. And got all these people paying them monthly and annually to be a part of their community. Or people doing what we do right now every week. They add so much value, they give out so much information. And this is a plug. Obviously, we ain't getting paid, but like Earn Your Leisure. Those dudes just talk about what they know and the people they with, and people follow them. So it's important to not be selfish with the things you earn, the things you learn, and to share them. Anybody else got anything they want to add?
Last thing I'll add is too is also being aware of what they're doing to you in their schemes, right? I think you hit it on the head when you said, with the shopping. I was with a friend the other day and they went shopping, went to Rack Room Shoes, and it was like buy one get one 50% off. They got a $50 pair of sandals, and they're like, yo, help me find another pair of sandals for like $40, so that way I can get them for 20. And I'm like, what's the point of even spending more money to get something out of it? Like, be aware of the schemes that they put on you. Be aware of the different things and the different techniques to get the dollar out of your pocket. Like, be aware of what's going on. I think that will kind of help guide you in being financially smart as well.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, we're learning about yourself. What Pizzle says, be aware of what's going on. The more you give attention to stuff, there's something in your brain called the reticular activation system. Like right now, around all of us, it's a billion probably different stimuli we could focus on, right? But if you start to spend time with money and seeing it, you'll see the things that Pizzle just talked about. Like, dang, like them Jordans only $75. They normally $300, but I only came in here to spend this $100. All right, I got 30 left, so then those Jordans even 60. Like, you'll start to pay attention to different things. So once again, it's important to spend time with the information so that you can start to see it when the opportunities present themselves to you.
It's just like when you get a new car and then you start seeing that car everywhere. And it's not that everybody else got the same car when you got it, but you just pay attention to it more because now it's part of who you are. So if you do that, you can change that to a positive, like you said, start to focus on all the positives and all the different things around you that can increase your position as opposed to detract from it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is to keep us focused. let's shift to some stocks y'all see for the week and give Dev a couple of minutes to talk about the Bitcoin. So anybody got anything that they watching right now or something from the previous week they want to highlight?
I just got one. It's one I may have called it out last week, but Procter and Gamble was one that I'm watching. I was watching it throughout last week because I was waiting for the 10-day EMA to cross the 20, and I think it either crossed on Thursday or it should cross tomorrow. So Malcolm, if you want to pull it up, we could take a quick look at it. But other than that, Thursday was ugly for me. I think it was ugly for a lot of people. So I'm just hoping that what I have bounces back outside of Procter and Gamble.
What is it? PG?
PG.
All right, hold on. Easy.
Tell him G, no point intended.
Exactly.
All right, PG. You said the moving
So
average?
yeah, moving average, and I mean you could argue that it's channeling, but I think it kind of broke the channel. If you zoom in, your colors are different. So which one is your 10? The yellow?
Yeah.
And it's about to cross the blue.
That's the 20.
Right. And I was actually looking at it on the line chart. If you switch to the line, you can see it a little better. But I also had these resistances set at now go back to the other one. Yeah. So you can see I had a resistance set at that peak, which is probably around 139.40, I think.
Right here?
Yep. So it crossed that. So I'm watching it to see if it gets past this other high, which I can't see what that is to the left.
Right here?
Where the number is actually called out over again.
139.37.
Okay. So I'm watching it, and I think if it goes past that number, it should probably run. So I got an alert set around, I think, 139.40, and then I'll watch it from there and jump in.
All right. 139.
But other than that, I didn't see anything too crazy.
All right. What else y'all got?
I seen this from Twitter with Alex Cutler. It's called NGA, Northern Genesis. It's an electric like electrical kind of car company. It just kind of hit over the volume of 1 mil, 1.04 mil. It's a fairly new stock that I've been checking out. And the big news today, they just sold some merchandise to Amazon. So the Amazon is going to be using the trucks. Also, they just got 10 buses were just bought for them for 3.3 million, and it's like all electric. So that's going to be something to keep my eye on. I've been saying it a lot. That's why I checked it out, because Alex Cutler has been really tweeting about this one, and it's very new. So that's something I want to keep my eye on for sure, because the electrical car space or vehicle space is something that is going to be relevant in the future for sure. So this is one that I've been eyeing for a little bit. Well, I just peeped it, this weekend. He's been talking about it a lot this weekend. So I want to keep my eye on it as it is a little just more time in the market, because you see it's not that much time in the market.
Are there options? Can you see if they're actually
Can't hear you, G.
Can you see if there are actually options for this one? Because sometimes with like the newer stocks, they're not optionable yet.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious if like I'm interested, so I need to know if I want to buy stock.
Yeah. You heard about this one?
I saw some tweets and it looks like there are options. But I didn't do any research yet.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm looking at the news and comments right now. And it's all Lion Electric, emission school bus fleet. They're getting a lot of signings agreements with a lot of different companies. So that's definitely one, especially still only being $17. I've seen a lot of like comments, people expected to go all the way up to maybe even 40. So that's definitely one that I have on my watch list, and I would like. But I also don't want to get put in that. Then Nicola, whatever that thing is, that pissed me off from back early in the pandemic. So I'm also still being a little cautious behind that as well, because I still want to jab Devin from hyping us on the Nikolai, whatever it is. That joint still pisses me off to this day.
How long has this company been trading for?
I think
Looks like only from when I look at the charts, only from 1 second.
I think it's October 10th.
Yeah, October.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and it's already up to 1.4, 1.04 volume already.
Yeah, I think this joint gonna keep pulling back for another day or two, FYI.
Yeah, I see what it's doing, but I'm just very curious on it because I'm always curious about the electric car vehicles market. Is that because that's what the world, not even America, the world is going to go to soon. As well, you see how Tesla is getting more and more popular. So I'm sure, we're going to have lots of competitors soon.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, Mal, can you please go to FUTU?
Oh, I'm about to say, dang, that's how you feeling, Jeff?
And I want to use this. I just want to use this as an exemplar, right? So I got a chance to watch I guess it was an educational clip that Aristotle. He's another person on Instagram. He has like a class and a course and a chat and things of that sort. But one piece of free game that he gave to everyone was how he basically analyzes proper entry for a swing play. So actually, Mal, can I share my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
All right. So share screen. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
No, I didn't see it pop up.
No.
We might have the max amount of screens on this. No, we don't, because I've been sharing. I'm tripping. It would be you, Jess.
It says share. I hit share.
All right.
Hey, Mount, you already know what I'm thinking about. Michigan.
All right.
No overwhelmed, bro. Oh my God.
It's all good. So check this out. I'm just gonna go through the steps with you on my screen. So what I want to highlight is if you go back to sharing your screen, Mal. So one thing that that the dude Aristotle talked about was his use of the fib levels, Fibonacci retracement, and the first time I ever heard that was from Devin. And then I took a further look into it to see the use of it. So essentially, what you're looking for, can you bring up the indicator RSI? Okay, so if you zoom out a little bit, what you're essentially looking for is you're looking for the last big corrective move that the stock has done. and then the most recent high. All right. So if we zoom in, like maybe the right third quarter of the screen, you can see where right there it became oversold and stayed oversold for about 2 or 3 days.
Mhm.
Right there where your cursor is. Okay, and then the first big corrective move was actually that V right at the bottom. If you see the low point on RSI, nope, to the left hand side.
Oh, this one.
Before the big jump up. Nope, not that far back. Sorry.
Not this far back.
Give me 2 seconds. Yep. So you're looking somewhere right around let's say 29.30.
29, the price.
Yes, 29.30. Can you see where that correct move? I mean, where that
What's the date, Just give us the date.
my
Yeah,
bad.
this is
29.30 happened on 10.30
10:30.
or 11.2.
Yeah, right here. Okay. That's why I
Okay.
was. Come on, man.
My fault. I got visual issues.
All right.
All right. And then you're gonna do your fib level from there to the high, which was that 51.10.
So 29.30 to 51.10.
Yes, sir.
29.30. So that's basically right here or so.
Look on the right hand side. It'll show you as you move the cursor up and down. Then pull it up to 51.30 or so. Okay. And you will see that the optimal level to jump into this stock was right around that 61% retracement level. In fact, it actually bounced off of that, and that's where you are going to get your highest gains and your highest potential, right? So, just for the learners on the channel, one thing I wanted to point out is that yes, you can get in an option, and sometimes you can get in it a little bit too early, right? Because let's say you hopped in that 50% gap. Sometimes stocks don't actually retrace to that 61% level. Sometimes they only retrace to the 50% level. Okay. Now, if you do happen to get in at that 50% level, just know that you may have another series of days or sometimes a week, depending on how much volume is hitting this stock, where you will then be able to see profitability from your option or from your swing if you're buying shares. Okay. Because sometimes it still has to come back and test that retracement level. So when I hear G and myself going through what we did this past week, number one, because volume was very low. And when volume is low, prices tend to inherently just drop because there's not enough buyers in the market. You may see stocks slide back a little bit more, hence you being down 20% or more sometimes in your option, but just know that it's kind of setting back for a bigger launch off. And you can look for other forms of confirmation. So I changed my MA lines to 8, 50, and 200. And a part of it is because the 50 is the biggest indicator. And most of the times, stocks will bounce off if it does reach the 50. That happens to be the safest place to enter a swing play. That's where you get the most momentum upward once it hits the 50 MA line.
When it turns off the 50, so it goes down, it touches the 50, and then it turns back up because technically it could go through the 50, right?
It could definitely, and I've definitely seen that. It's once it commits to an upward trajectory from the 50.
Right. Okay.
Yep. But if you look at this play, and then I'm going to share one other after this to show you what the setup is for an entry. So if you would have gotten this on that 50% line or somewhere close to it, oh man, you would have there's a potential that you may have been able to double your money just because of the price of the option at that point. It had 3 huge red candlesticks leading up to that. So the value of that option had been crushed over the last several days. as you see it heading down to the 50% line.
So when you're on that line, what's going to tell you to enter? Like hypothetically, if you enter here, let me zoom in.
So I'm more so talking about more to the right hand side, the last 3 red candlesticks.
Yeah, hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay. Yep.
If you hit it here, right?
Right.
You came up that $5 difference in a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
No matter if you get it from December 2nd through December 7th, and then again the 14th through the 16th. But is there something that would have told you that this time on the 22nd is not the time? Like, is it because this is a big red candle, or is it just a coincidence that this is the time and went from 50 to 61? And by being aware of this, you know you can ride it out, right?
So my initial response is that two things. Many stocks will channel in that 50% range, right? In the retracement range, it will channel. So ideally, the best ideal situation would be to enter in the 61% range. However, all stocks don't necessarily reach that retracement level. So to answer your question, it is a bit of it's an educated guess, right?
Yeah.
You know that there is a potential for it to pull back to a lower range, but if you're comfortable with weathering that storm and you want to know that you're entering before it takes off, because it will take off, then you're going to just kind of, be someone that wants to be in the game and can weather the storm knowing that, hey, this is a potential. But if not, hey, the potential for it to pull back to 61% may not ever come to fruition, because some stocks don't ever do that.
Now, you help me. One thing, G, you help me see something by looking at it as a channel. Now, from investing in ourselves in the course, we know that on the third revolution, is the channel is likely to be broken. So this is a small channel, but we got one touch, second touch, third touch. So it kind of makes sense because you know at the third touch is likely to break. So you could have saw one touch, second touch. All right, so let me try to see what happened here first. All right, you might miss a couple dollars up. All right, but then ideally it's going to break out up. Or you would have known to be a bit more patient and jump around that 61 if you do view this as a channel. So that's important.
Agreed.
Go ahead, G.
So yeah, my question to Jess and to Dev, because Dev, I know you touched on this a couple weeks ago. Let's say 2 months from now, can we then use this same data set like retroactively to help us predict the next retracement? Can I say? Go ahead.
Sorry, ideally what you would be doing is looking for the next corrective move after this. So it may even be that retracement, but you're going to need 2 data points to be able to know what your entry. And the first one is the last corrective move, which you've seen that we did because it had the big drop off before the huge takeoff. So you're looking for the last corrective move and the most recent high, which usually will wind up being a 52-week high.
Okay, but we're saying because every stock doesn't retrace to 61%. Some stocks retrace to 50%, right? So we're saying that based on what we've learned when this stock, it typically retraces to 61. So the next time I have that corrective movement and that high, I can use Fibonacci to figure out where that 61% is.
Well, I'll openly share that I'm not experienced enough to know that because it happened this time that it would happen again.
All right, let's look at another
Well,
stock.
Dev, do you have something to add on? You on mute,
Dev?
My fault. In terms of the Fibonacci,
Yeah.
I mean, there's always things to learn about it, but it's so much from it. I don't even know what to answer if there's a specific question. Could you repeat that question?
Yeah, so we just looked at this corrective movement in this high, and based on that, just said that it would retrace to 61%, or at least that's what happened. It retraced to 61%. My question is, if we take this information here, and 3 months from now we have another correction and high, can we use this information to basically estimate where the retracement would be 3 months from now? So
I think, but I got you, bro. For me, what the Fibonacci has done is over time, and as you continue to use it, you kind of see how the money moves and how retracement levels work. And so I would say that, like, just continuously use it, and so you can see, oh, okay, this joint retraces at this percentage often, or wow, money pretty much does this. It tests these different percentages, so you can kind of start to see where the retracements more than likely will stop at. So entries and take profits become more efficient. You know what I'm saying? Just using that, and like, say for example, for this one on this big run up, as it went through 23%, I knew I wouldn't get into it if I was trying to ride it back up until it get around the 38% to see what it does. You know what I'm saying? And then just kind of like graphing it and finding entries and seeing when you need to cut your losses, stuff like that. But yeah, see how many different stocks go to different certain levels when they're on trends. That's all. Just practice.
okay.
For sure.
Hey, yo, so when we're doing the fib, right? Are we saying that these percentages are the percent that it's going to come back to that actual line? Are we saying that?
That's
so you
the
know how it's
percentage
50%, it's 30, it's 23%. You're saying that's the percentage in which it will track back to that specific line.
I mean, I wouldn't just say it will for sure, but through, you know what I'm saying?
No, yeah,
they created this
through theory.
Formulas. Yeah. They created this through formulas and a lot of data. So when it hits a peak and it starts to go down, that's when the Fibonacci is installed to see what levels it possibly could go down and what levels would it start to test at. And so those are really like testing points. As you see on that one, it started channeling between the percentages because those percentages were different testing points. And so that's more so what it is. It's telling you like significant points, and then money will decide, okay, is it going to go underneath this or is it bouncing off of it? The buyers and sellers, you know what I'm saying? So right there on that one, it bounced off that 23. On this one, it came more and bounced off the 38 and started to channel between the 23 and the 38. You see that? You see how they're just significant areas, significant points? And it hit them joints. And this is what the day chart. Is this a day chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you see over weeks, it's like those are testing points, whether it was on the July area where it first peaked and then went down, or throughout them areas to come, it just uses those levels as price points, and time only tells whether it's going to bounce or go further down.
Hey, look, this is, sorry to cut you off there.
Nah, I was good.
It's the third touch. It touched one time right here, like multiple days, but it stayed in this pocket of, that area. One time, the second time, and then it went away. And the third time it touched, it broke.
Triple bottoms, what they call them.
Second time, third time, it broke.
Yeah.
So pay attention within like the, I guess, within the percent / channel levels. And then if it's touching a certain either a resistance or within that percentage channel, it's either going to break out, run up, or run down.
I like
Kind of sort
it's so many, yeah, it's so many different things that it could do. But like Mal, if you happen to when he just had that chart up or whatever, it showed that even though this looked like a big ass, I'm sorry for cursing, I apologize.
It's all
But
good.
because it seemed like a big drop, it really could you set it again from that 810 level, Mal?
Huh?
The Fibonacci?
Here?
Yeah, from 810 to 51.
18.
Nah, all the way down on the bottom left.
Oh, April. Okay.
Oh yeah, I was talking price. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My fault.
Yeah. So you see, it really, if you judging it off of this, that big dip over the past coming weeks really was only just going down to that 23% and testing that price. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's over the whole year, and it still follows this Fibonacci. That's why it's like crazy. It's like mathematically, like the trigonometry of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it just works out like that.
I'd also just add that it depends what style of trading too that you have. If you're more so of a long-term trader, you're looking to hold for a series of months, then using this retracement tool over the big over a longer life of the stock is going to give you different indicators than if you notice the first example that we gave was actually more of a it was a closer look at more recent behavior of the stock. So it's going to give you a shorter window if you are using it's going to give you more of an accurate tool of current movements or current movements to come, the closer that you use the tool.
And I want to add on that Fibonacci retracement is used for trends, not for channeling or stagnant or like just, you know what I'm saying, hitting support, hitting blah, 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 blah. It's when a stock enters a downtrend or an uptrend, it starts to trace the retracements. It starts to graph those corrections and retracements. That's the purpose of it.
I know this a million lines, but I tried to make it blue. I went back to Procter and Gamble. It's the same thing, more or less.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy mathematically how you can move that, and then it's just like, wow, those points. Like, look, if you leave it right there, if you go back up there, look what happened to the lowest point after it did that. It hit that what? That 38%. It ting that, it bing that jump, and it's the same point over here on the left-hand side that comes and bings. Look at those candles where the wicks just touch that 38%. All those different times, boom, 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 and we just moved it. We just happened to move the jump up. You know what I'm saying? So it's just practice it and graph and use it on trends.
So leave it there.
Can't hear you, G.
Put it back. Put the retracement back, because now I want to see if my entry is good or not.
Do y'all want me to delete these lines I got?
Yeah, that's fine.
I can do them over.
I think that's good now.
All right. Here or here? The high?
Yeah. So if you look at the last day that the stock traded, it's touching the 25% line. So now this just tells me that I need to probably raise my entry to ensure that the price clears that before I get into it, because technically it could bounce off that line and go back down.
Yeah, it definitely is a significant point where it
Right.
can. Yeah, it's like Malcolm be saying price action. I learned that a lot. You might want to wait for price action, but it's like, do you want to play it down or play it up? Are you anticipating the trend going up eventually.
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
the third touch again.
mhm.
Right. So something should happen, and that coincides with the fact that the moving averages are crossing. So my point is, what's that price point? 139.43.
One thirty
Yeah.
nine 14.
Yeah. So about 139.
Oh, is it? Is one?
See on the left.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
thirty nine. Oh,
Yeah.
43. Yes, 43.
Okay. So I think I said 139.40 earlier. So that would just tell me that I should probably raise my entry up a little bit just to be sure that it clears that 139.43. Because it also looks like a couple of times it went past it. You can see a couple of candles that went past that line, but then came back down before the day closed.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what it's going to do because it could be just still retracing. It could be going up. So I would let it breathe.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, it's just at those price points. You know what I'm saying? And as much as we would love to try to predict what the money going to do, bro, it's like you never really know.
Yeah, and what I've been noticing too, maybe it's because we're so eager, but just reviewing a lot of winning plays and like watching YouTubes and stuff, I think we, at least in our circle, have a tendency to act a little bit too early, like the Eagles DBs last year. You feel me? It's like we getting bit on double moves. Like what G was just saying, his focus was on the cent, which makes sense because of the blue line. But as he's talking, I took a step back. I said, well, what if we let the stock prove to us that it's going to break that line? So, like, I look back here, like, it proved that it broke here. Even if you got in super late from 141.30 up to, even if you took an L today for it to prove down to 143, that's only a $2 spread. But as you see with the options, like say you got an option for 2 weeks, you can eat off that $2. In the day, even if you was out the next day, boom, you came up. Or this day, it proved it. Even if you got in the next day when it opened, it proved it. You can eat right there. Right. So, and it's ideal to catch it by the cent here. But like G just said, you could have had that here, boom, got smoked. Speaking for myself, that's happened to me multiple times. It's like, dang, I know I set the alert, but then it turned. All right, I know again. It proved it again. I set the alert and then it turned. But if we kind of let it, and I noticed that KP has made two pretty big moves like that too. He's caught the stock already in the trend, right? So we don't necessarily have to catch it at the beginning. We got to kind of, just like as a DB, you don't dive into the defense of the route until you have a belief that you know where he's going. Before then, you kind of trail him and then you go get him, right? So I think maybe, and G told me the other day, so I've been waiting to tell you this, be more patient. So if we give the stock a day or two to prove it, I think that'll really help us with this, using this tool effectively.
Can you zoom back in, Malk? I just want to make one point for anybody who's listening that may be a beginner. One of the ways to, right there is cool. One of the ways to minimize your risk, even more than what we're doing, is if you see at this 38% retracement level, it has tested that multiple times over the last series of weeks or months.
Strong.
Now, yep, it's a very, very strong support line. Now, if you were to, let's say a couple of days ago or a week ago, been able to enter at that line, when you see the green candlestick tested, if you, yep, can you put the cursor over it? Perfect. Boom. Now, that would have been the ideal entry because this stock has already proved to hold that support line. And that way you can set your stop loss, or at least a mental or visual loss, if it breaks below that line, right? That will minimize your risk because in order for it to break below that line and stay below that line, it will have to break the trend, or at least a support line, which would be confirmation like, hey, I don't want anything to do with this. Maybe I'm not comfortable with it retracing back down to the 50% range. I just want to get out, right? But more times than not, if I were to enter on that support line, I would know that it's going to then test the next resistance line because it's done so over the last series of months or weeks. And maybe I'm not looking for the huge ultimate jump of getting back up to the old 52-week high. Maybe my game plan is just going from the 38% retracement level to 23%. Maybe that's my range.
Which is a $5 range.
Bingo, right? Which is, quite honestly, it's a bit of a safer play, right? Because you're allowing yourself to benefit from something that's proven from itself, because it hasn't necessarily proven to break this next support line as frequently as it has been channeling.
Yeah, I agree with Jess.
Right. And let me say this to close it out. One thing that we often, we don't disrespect it, but we often don't appreciate highly is like our community. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things to making money too, is being part of a community. Like, I have people tell me all the time, like, no, I don't got friends like you or something. So you may like go seek it. Like, you might join a Discord, or you might join a Facebook group,
Message
or
board.
huh?
I said a message board or something.
A message board. What's that one app with all the message boards? G, you got it. You the one that had us using it. Reddit. Right?
Reddit.
So find the community, and just talk. Like, something I know is I'm gonna hit y'all after this, and once we get our watch list and stuff, we gonna start breaking it up, and like, just you check these Fibonacci Jones. G, you check these. G, you check these. So now we can go from watch list to all having not an agreed upon, but an all researched entry point. Because as
game plan.
Yeah, exactly. Having the game plan. And with options, they're called signals. Right? I want to make this, let me show you. So a signal would include something like it'll say, I don't really know the order. Oh, I can show you actually. Signals. Oh, I gotta take this off.
Dev got the live plants in the back blooming.
Right, so look, here goes a signal for Disney.
You already know that's my fiance's.
June 18th, $200 call. It's a sweep. That means somebody got 13 of them, right near the midpoint. So they offer between the bid and the ask for this price.
Can you share your screen, Mount?
You gotta share.
My fault. All right, and I know it's small. Can I? All right, zoom in. So there was an option for Disney. The expiration was June 18th. The strike price was $200, and it was a sweep. That means somebody bought 13 of them. Right? They just came through, grabbed them all off the shelf, and they offered near the midpoint, between the bid and the ask. Right? So between what somebody was offering for it and between what somebody wanted for it. Right? And this was the price of the stock. No, that's the reference price. And this was the open interest. Right? So by doing that research that we said, you'll have a signal, right? A buy signal or a sell signal. Right? Just like when you're on the field and they come out with 6 DBs, all right, we probably gonna run. Or they come out with everybody at the line of scrimmage, all right, we probably want to pass if we can cover the blitz. So that's one important thing about having a community, is that you can do XYZ over 100% times the work in the same amount of time. And then also, like we said, with your thoughts and beliefs, if you don't feel like doing your research every day, then somebody got that message in the chat, boom, I got a shift. Right? So make sure you build a community, and it don't matter if you have them already. You have to go find them. So I'm gonna give us a hard stop. We already over. So appreciate y'all fellas. Appreciate y'all fellas and ladies that watched. See you next week. Peace out.